Welcome to KoolTV. I'm your host, Kool.
Hi, I'm your host, Diego. And as you can see, we have our co-hosts with us. Jenny from the block.
Regular Joe.
And as you can see, our co-hosts have no mouths. And that's for a reason. You know why? Because there's no place nor space for hate on KoolTV. So we will have no rebuttals if it ain't from Kool or Diego. Y'all follow?
Follow. Hey, so what we're going to do today is we're going to touch on the NBA. I mean, me and Diego grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, loving the game of basketball, man. And
loving it.
Loving it.
Man, I can take you back to some real good times, man. We from the era of real basketball.
Right.
No disrespect to basketball that's going on now, but we from the era of real basketball where you saw that Booger Smiths, you saw the Todd Miles, you saw the Stephon Marbury, you saw the Mel Tisleys, you saw the Jamel Jones, where New York City was flooded with talent from the inner boroughs. Right. You know what I mean? For most of the guys from the hood, and we was accustomed to three major programs that went on in New York City: Riverside, Gauchos, and Brooklyn, USA, which was my favorite because I love Ziggy. You know what I mean? Shout out to Ziggy and everybody that knows, you know. It was real good where I felt like as New Yorkers, we really cared about the game.
I think you left out a big program. The Broncos, Dr. Selly.
Right.
Madison Square.
No, I didn't want to leave them out, but I'm just saying, like, if you want to go, like, they was commercial.
Nah, but one of the greats from our building, man, he played for Broncos Junior.
Yeah. But when you go down the list, when you look at more greats came out of those three programs.
Okay.
Riverside, Brooklyn, USA, and Gauchos. Broncos, I'm not no knock on them. Okay. But like
Broncos was around before Brooklyn USA, because Brooklyn USA is really Ray Haskins and that era. Yeah. That's really not Ziggy.
But Ziggy, I feel like Ziggy, he made a commercial.
He LLC'd it.
He took it to another level.
Okay, all right.
Definitely, and with the talent that he brought to the table, he took a lot of inner city kids and he helped them out, whether they needed money, whether
so you played for Brooklyn USA?
Somewhat, you know what I mean? I wasn't a kid that I was pretty good, but I never took it serious because I was more into donuts. You know, and donuts means money. You know what I mean? So I never really pursued basketball as I should. You know what I mean? I ended up becoming Birdie. You know what I mean? Because I'm a guy, I love the hood. As you can see, I'm representing my hood niggas on KoolTV. That's why I got on my ski mask and I brought my co-host with me that will not say a word. They agree to any and everything I say. Jenny from the block and Regular Joe. It gets no better, bro. You feel?
I dig. That could be a problem. But, however, I'm from Brooklyn. I never played for Brooklyn USA, but I did play for Gauchos. Rest in peace for Coach Fred Neal. Brought me to the program, phenomenal program. But knowing what I know now about the game, coming full circle, I should have never played for Gauchos. Knowing what I know now, I should have never played for any of those programs. Because as you can see now, there's tons of new AAU programs where guys are going and making a name for themselves and going to nice colleges and performing on a high level. And some are actually making it to the NBA out of New York City.
But the percentages are low and the players are not as good because I feel like with more brands, it watered it down. When you had just Brooklyn USA, Riverside, Gauchos, it means you had to work harder to get a part of just those programs. So that means your game had to be up to par because they only had so many slots.
Right.
So if you did not make those programs, it left in the center. And when you went into high school, when you see those kids from those schools, you want to step your game up. That's why I feel like where New York went wrong, the more the programs, I feel like it watered the sport down.
Yeah. Well, I got to say I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because politics is used well, right?
Yeah.
So you can go to those programs, but they got their guys. You could be better, but that's just what it is. So, for example, I had a coach tell me, I was 16. He said, yo, you could go play with Gauchos and sit the bench, or you could come with me to Vegas. We might not win, but you'll be seen.
But what I feel like that inspires you to be better. When the ceiling is at a ceiling where you have to reach the quota if you want to be a part of the elite, it pushes you to be better. And that's why we had better product coming out of the New York City in those times. Look at the product we had coming out from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. The product slowed down in the 2000s when the game got watered down. So that means now kids are getting taught by different people that probably don't know the game like that.
All right, so let me ask you this. You just said Brooklyn USA. The guy who ran Brooklyn USA, he played basketball?
No, but what he had a niche for, he had a niche for talent in the city.
Watch this. The guy who ran Riverside, he played basketball?
No, he didn't. All
right, and Lou from Gauchos, he played basketball?
No, I didn't.
So that's my point. So you got three guys who brought money, which created opportunity for young black kids in the 5 boroughs, some upstate, to travel around the country and play basketball, when you got other guys who played the game, started small programs, and could teach you better, right? They may not have the funding, but a lot of us are taught to go where the money is. So you got kids from the 5 boroughs that ain't got shit. You're going to go play for this guy. Why? Because he might have an Adidas contract. You're going to go play for this guy because he got a Nike contract. You might go play for this guy because he got a Reebok contract. He ain't teaching you shit, but he does have an eye for the elite. I don't know. He got an eye for motherfuckers that's poor and ain't got shit, so they going to go play with him because the new sneakers he got access to and their mother don't. He got access to and their father don't. He got access to and they living with their grandparents. Their fathers and mothers is fiends. You said 80s and 90s. That's our era, right?
Right.
But then you got another guy fresh out of college, just played college ball, trying to start his own thing. How he gonna compete with them? But he know more about the game than these guys, and he played the game. So you won't play with him because his funding ain't right, but we gonna go over here because it's reputable. That's why I say, knowing what I know, knowing what I know now, that was misleading. Because that's just a cash cow. You going where the money is. That don't mean they know shit. That just mean they got the money in the bag. Right? In the bag, when I say the bag, I mean the bag of goodies. You know, the Adidas duffel bag. When you're a hooper, that shit is appealing. But if you look at some of the guys, and I'm going to name a few. Kenny Anderson, Stephon Marbury, Pearl Washington. You think they had to play for Gauchos? No. You think he had to play for Riverside? No. You think he had to play for Brooklyn USA? No. Those guys had mentors that taught them how to play. So they got to pick and choose who they wanted to play for. So which changes your statement of the elite. Nah, they was the elite because they knew them guys couldn't tell them shit. Because them guys, you got money. You ain't teaching me how to play. Stephon Marbury brothers taught him how to play. Kenny Anderson had a mentor, his high school coach. That's not AAU, right? He said, I'm staying in school till 9 o'clock. I ain't going home. I'm doing my school. I'm doing my ball, right? Pearl Washington, Pac-Man. Wherever I go is lit. I hone my talent on the streets of Brownsville. You know what I'm saying? So these guys that ran these programs, they ain't teaching. The guys I just named, these the guys. So now when these guys come and start their programs, sometimes they might not have the funding. So the kids won't go with them because you can't get the bag of the sneakers. But they got the game and the knowledge. They experienced it. You like donuts. You went the Birdie route. So if I'm in the street playing and I want to be like Birdie, I need to talk to somebody like you. You experiencing that field. You slip through the cracks. You know the ins and outs. It's a blessing. It's a small percentage to get where you are. So why would I talk to him over here because he got money, but you lived it? And I feel like that's the disconnect of when you say New York City basketball, because we subconsciously by accident, we're shitting on the guys starting programs saying it's oversaturated. But let's look at the background of these guys. These guys are basketball players. And then we look at the guys who had the rep for just giving out shit, paying rent and all that. They ain't even play ball. So we going for money or we going for knowledge? And I feel like when you break it down and you go back into that, you see like, damn. So that's why I say, knowing what I know now, I would have went over here with the guy that played and was realistic to say, we might not win, but you'll be seen. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion, because you could go over here, work hard as a motherfucker, bust homeboy ass, but guess what? Homeboy been playing since he was 11.
Well, you know my rebuttal to that is...
Talk about it. Let's go.
Why do you think kids go to the major programs when because those people have connections, and connections get you able to be seen in certain circuits. So that's why I feel like that's what's missing when you had just the 3 dominant program, because it pushes you harder to try to become part of that or either break that down. It pushes the ball player to become better. So, I mean, in your words, why do you feel like the talent in New York City is not like the talent that we've seen coming up?
I feel like it's unfortunate that nowadays, because society has changed, there's not many kids in parks working on their games. Like, for example, I want to shout out Deion Sanders, primetime. He said, there's too many trainers. He said, how could another man make you run faster? There's no self-discipline. There's no motivation. These kids ain't playing 21. They ain't playing Utah. But I tell you why they not doing it. Because they shooting outside. You understand what I'm saying? It's different, right? When in my opinion, we grew up different. And then there's so many things, not just that they shooting. You got this, right? You got, you know, all these different games, technology, kids is in the house. You know what I'm saying? So now if you do come out, you might have to get a trainer instead of when we grew up, we're going to play Utah. You know, we might play Utah for 3-4 hours, and we can see who ruled this court. Because you ain't got to pass. This is you work on your one-on-one skill. You work on your free throw. You know what I'm saying? Because if you score, you got to make 3. You know what I'm saying? You work on your top of the key shot because you got to hit. But you got to break the ice, hit the game. You know what I'm saying? And those things carried on into 5-on-5. Inner confidence. You know what I'm saying? And that was a thing. And then nowadays, it's like, you know, you got so much technology, and with crime, like, nowadays, we got so, in my opinion, nowadays,
was tough back then.
It was, but nowadays, we got so many gangs in New York City. Not saying we didn't have it, but this is real, bro. Like, these kids can't go to the park.
I still feel there's no ceiling. Like, that's just me. I just feel like they ain't got nothing to reach for. Like, I'm talking about as far as player-wise, because now with these new programs, they take the kids and they send them out other places. They send them to prep schools, or they send them down south to easier programs.
Well, they was doing that back then. It just wasn't publicized.
Not New York.
Yeah.
I can't name.
Ross Strickland went to Oak Hill.
I'm not saying some of them, but predominantly of our major players played here.
It's tough, bro. You do your...
The Sham Guards, the Kareem Reeds, the Stephon Marburys, the Tar Miles, all the Allen Griffins. Right. It was flooded. Shaheem Holloways. It was. I mean, I just feel like because those programs.
Shaheem Holloway went to
with
New Jersey.
I'm just saying he still played in the circuit over here.
But Shaheem Holloway, see, here's the thing too. We don't know what Shaheem Holloway was going to do in New York City, but he was in a program where he got away from the madness, where he could just focus on basketball.
Right, you know, those programs were still, but it's still like they was connected to the city.
No, it's connected to the city, but that's different though. He's still away from his environment.
Yeah,
you away. You're in another state to play basketball and get a high school.
Like if you look at the PSL right now, it's weak in New York City.
PSL?
Weak.
Think so?
I know so. You know, man, listen, man, back when you knew a playoff game, you know how flooded that shit would be? Yeah. You couldn't even get in the river.
But it's different now, because back then it was A and B. You know, they just got back to the old ways. Shout out to Ray Haskins. He put it back to when we was in school. So, like, I want to say, like, the 2000s, I remember they had A, B, double A. Like, double A, you win one game, you in the semifinals. Nah, bro. It was like, now it's the Wild Wild West again. It's getting back to that. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's getting back to that, and that goes from the guys in charge. Okay. You know, and the guys in charge are
now I'm about to get on the road.
Ray Haskins and Tiny.
I ain't get the food yet.
And this is Diego. This is he representing the
hood. Before I go
Birdie,
the road, I'm gonna get the food.
He going that route.
Hot.
You see what I'm saying? And we not cutting this, man. Can't edit this part out.
Okay. Yeah, excuse me. Sorry for the interruption.
And this is what happens when you go the Diego route. Things are getting back to where they were. Everything is a process, like a clock. Everything goes full circle. Right. Everything. So to say the PSCL is weak, I gotta disagree. It's some cold young boys in there. And shout out to Jeff. They got that young boy Connor, sophomore. I saw him this summer. Cold. That boy cold, man. You go to every program, it's definitely about two good players working hard. You know what I'm saying? In the public school system. Shout out to my alma mater, boys and girls. I mean, I'm tripping. I teach at Boys and Girls so much. I mean, I teach at Boys and Girls in the evening. My alma mater, Murray Burcham, Blazers, red, yellow, black. We got returning senior, had a great junior year. They won a city championship in the A division last year, so now they're back in the A. It's no more double A. And we got a top 10 player coming back. He's a senior. I forgot his name, but salute to Coach Lau and those boys. Shout out to my man Laid Back Lemons, Murray Burcham, baby, big Blazers all day. It's coming back. Everything is coming back full circle.
I gotta get out there and go catch some more games.
You got to.
You know, as far as what I've seen,
right? They sneezing.
It ain't there. New York was known. When you see the New York bowler, you could discriminate him from anywhere in the world. Yeah. The handle's not there. Well,
everybody caught up, man. You can't stay.
No, I ain't saying they caught up, but just like music, New York has lost its identity. That's just my opinion.
In basketball.
Period. All around the board. Basketball, music, clothes, language. You'll never catch a New York person back in the days talking about some cap or... We have our own words.
Our own thing.
We don't do what the others doing, and I feel like that's what we're doing when it comes to basketball. It's just we doing what the others. Because remember, back in the days, we had our core of programs, and that was it.
Right.
Other states had their thousands of AAU programs, spaced out, all that, but we had our core, and with that core, it made kids push harder because it wasn't easy to be a part of those programs.
Nah, it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy at all.
It wasn't.
And just to be a part of it made you feel like somebody in the city.
It did when you're young and you're naive and you don't know any better.
But
when you, let me tell you.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Before we go there, I understand when you come to what I'm just saying, as far as pride, as far as wanting to be a part of something that makes you become better. Just like when we had Rockefeller and Bad Boy coming out of, it made us want to be bigger artists to get to them so we could want to make one to push.
I see what you
We don't have nothing to push for. Like, we just following trends.
Yeah.
Even with ball.
Man, I gotta disagree, man. I'm gonna tell you why I disagree. Because that's what's right there. What you're pushing is a popularity, reputable thing. Because that's not the case. When you see, here's the thing, right? When you play and when you practicing and playing with elite, you don't really know what it is because y'all smashing everything, right? So, for example, shout out to my Gaucho brothers, because I played 97, 98. I only played 2 years. I played the end of my junior year and my whole senior.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why did you go to Gauchos?
I went because I just said, unfortunately, my knowledge wasn't what it was.
What was your knowledge then? Speak on your knowledge then.
My knowledge then was it was reputable. 1, a lot of the greats came out of there. 2. And like you said, to be a part of that was a big deal.
And it made you feel like you was
at
least headed in the right direction.
You was headed in the right direction.
If I could make this, I could do that.
Absolutely. But
what you think, Jenny?
Cool, but I also understand
Joe.
Understanding how things work then, and that's why I gotta shout out my coach Fred Nick. So you got these AAU tryouts, right? It's like a record deal. If you're a major manager or even a major artist, I'm better off walking in the office of the CEOs with you, right? Because they might take me more serious than if I go by myself. You see what I'm saying? Right? Same thing with hoops. You just can't go to Gauchos, try out, then you're going to make it.
Unless you're that good.
No. Unless you might be like 7 feet. I'm talking about as a teenager.
If you're that good,
not that.
You gotta be that good, though. No, really.
Let me finish. I'm going somewhere with this. Same shit with all these other guys, because it's part of an AU national thing. You have to have a tryout, right? They already got the team. I'll tell you a story. I go to Gauchos my sophomore year. We running up and down the court. We playing. All right, everybody, thanks for coming out. They got guys sitting on the bench, the benches. They ain't pray, they ain't try out, right? As soon as everybody left, they start practicing. 1 year later, that was 95. Now it's 90. No, that was 96. Now it's 97. But I met Coach Neal in '94. I went to Anthony Mason primetime camp. They had some players from Gauchos there with Fred. So you would only get the chance to play 2.5 quarters. So I scored 35 points in 2 quarters. I got that blazer. Fred pulled me to the side. I said, yo, you playing with us. Here we are. This is summer '96. The whole year, he's sending coaches to my high school game. So now, it's a year later, they got the tryout. You think I got a tryout? No, because I know Coach Neal. Now, I'm one of the kids sitting on the benches, watching these guys go up and down and get to tell them. And I'm watching dudes that complain. All right, guys, thanks for coming out. Everybody leave. As soon as they leave, all of us start. The guys, all of us sitting down, we was already called. Like, yo, we got practice at 7. But they got tryouts from 4 to 6, 4 to 5:30, then 5:30. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, they know who they want already, bro. That shit is a 24-hour job. So, knowing what I know now, yeah, it's cool, like you said, it's reputable, but you living off of reps of guys who didn't necessarily learn their game from them. So when you don't know that, you thinking that you going playing for these places that they're going to teach you that. No, they're not. You have to work on your game, and then you'll be able to pick and choose. You'll be the pick of the litter. Like, nah, I don't want to play with y'all. Kenny Anderson didn't have no loyalty to Gauchos at Riverside. He was Kenny Anderson. He worked out with his coach, Jack Curran. Nah, I don't want to play with y'all. And he didn't have to, because he didn't need them. They wasn't paying his tuition. Some of these guys, they got their tuition paid, so now you got to play with them. You see what I'm saying? But same with Stephon Marbury. It was a bidding war for who he was going to play with AAU when he got to high school. Remember, Stephon Marbury was playing with
Gauchos.
No, Brooklyn USA first, right? And then
as an 8th grader.
And then what happened in high school?
Gauchos.
Right? And you had to,
I think that Gauchos by his junior year.
Nah, bro. He was Gauchos. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you this, though. You couldn't talk to him. You had to go through his pops and his brothers, right? Once again, the people who taught him how to play. Same thing with Kenny Anderson. You can't just talk to him. You got to talk to the guy that's in that gym with him till 9 o'clock. You got to talk to Jack Curran. You know what I'm saying? And you even, you know, some of these guys, like I said, their representation of these guys, yeah, they're going to salute them, taking them on trips, but those guys didn't make them great. You know what I'm saying? Because you watch the documentary, Stephon Marbury, he didn't mention nobody from Gauchos for his greatness when you watch the documentary.
I didn't say they made
them.
No.
Go ahead.
I ain't saying they made them great, but it made them say, I want to play for that program. So why is him, he wants to be a part of that alma mater. Why do you think he went there?
Listen, I don't think he said that. And I could be wrong. I think he had a talent enough to do whatever he wanted to do. But however, I think it was a slot there where this guy was funding the trips to Hawaii and Vegas.
But
and
he could have still said, Alpha was there.
No.
He could have.
Listen, I don't know. But what I'm saying is, all I know is he had the talent to say, I don't want to play.
And
he was going to be all right, bro.
He was.
You understand what I'm saying?
He was,
and what I'm saying is,
all the greats came out of one of those 3 programs.
At that particular time, yeah. At that particular time. But then you look at the guys.
What's the last greatest player that came out of New York City?
Last greatest player in the NBA or just great period?
They got to the NBA and all that.
I don't want. It's tough, but I'll tell you somebody who didn't play with those guys and helped another program blossom. Lamar Odom. Everybody talked this Riverside
Long Island Panthers.
Long Island Panthers. Shout out to Nolan Johnson. Them boys, Tavares Bell.
They was never on the level of those guys.
Are you out of your mind?
They wasn't on the level of no Riverside, no Gaucho.
When Lamar Odom was playing, yes, they was.
I mean, they never run through the city. No. You know our name ringing through the city.
What? I want
Long Island Panthers.
Long Island Panthers won the ISA with everybody in there like 4 times.
They probably
with
did.
Lamar Odom and Speedy Claxton and Nolan.
Yeah.
They wasn't losing.
They ain't say they was losing, but the names that run through the city, Long Island Panthers, you heard about them, but the greats came through Riverside, Gauchos.
Yes, but what I'm saying,
that's just I'm just saying that's just the whole thing. I'm just saying they were somebody, but they wasn't them guys.
Lamar Odom was the guy, bro.
He was good. He was good. I'm not going to debate Lamar Odom.
Hold on. Lamar Odom was a top top 2 player. Hold on, and never reclassed. This platform.
Listen, I was there. I seen him in the 8th grade coming up.
Lamar,
but
go ahead.
I'm just saying.
Then you had Then you had the Bronx Ravens. Shout out to them. The Bronx Ravens. Guys stopped playing with Gauchos. Start playing with them. They had Kenny Satterfield, Majestic, Andre Barrett. Like, them boys was in the McDonald game and with big-time programs. So then guys uptown.
But Andre Barrett still played with Gauchos.
He left to go play with the Ravens.
I'm just saying, still.
Yeah.
My whole thing, anybody and everybody went through those people.
Until you figure out.
True.
You don't have to go that route.
As youngers coming up in our era, those was the kids we looked up to. Like, yo, I want to play on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of us got crushed and didn't make it. It's guys like me. Don't worry. Did you make it, Jenny? What about you, Joe? Listen, you know, it's just like that sometimes. Not everybody's going to slide through the cracks, but I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, remember, don't take my opinion for all say all or be all, because I'm just who? How'd you know? Nobody. Diego. That's trying to become somebody. So as we saying, you know, through my eyes and lens.
Let me stop you. Yo, he is somebody. If he wasn't nobody, he wouldn't be.
No, I'm just saying, as far as
basketball.
No, I'm saying in the basketball.
In the basketball.
I mean, you know, all those players know me. I'm just saying, as far as
talent.
Never got to even play with none. I didn't make it. Unfortunately, you got a chance to play with those programs.
Right.
Guys like me was always left out watching from the window. So I'm an admirer. That's when I say nobody.
Okay.
Nobody in that field.
And I only played for Gauchos. I didn't.
Right, but you still made it.
Yeah.
That means something.
I got you. Right.
You know, it means something to the hood. You know what I mean? Yo, my boy, you know what I mean?
Well,
and you got a chance to be around a lot of greats.
I got you.
On the rise.
I got you. Well, I'm going to tell you, as somebody who grew up with you, that shit is overrated. Because I learned just as much from, rest in peace, my man Snatch. I learned just as much from Junior from my building. I learned, and as crazy as it sounds, I learned just as much from you, talking your shit. You understand?
You know what
I'm saying? Yeah, that's right. So what I'm saying is, a lot of that stuff, man, some of it is kind of like folk fable, like folk tale, like, because when you're in there as a competitor, you'll realize guys are not that much. Somebody might be better than you, or you might even be on a level, but sometimes they might have been in that program longer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you start seeing those things, no excuses. You go hard, but you understand what it is, and then you kind of pay homage to some of the guys who helped you get there. Right? Because if I don't see some of the guys in my neighborhood who didn't make it and take little bits from them and then come into my own, then I don't even get seen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to shout out to those guys, the guys who didn't make it, that you know what I'm saying, I stole little things. Maybe it was a swag, or maybe it was how he got spacing, or maybe he was doing something wrong. I said, nah, I'm going to fix it. I ain't going to do it like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's perfect.
Wow.
And, you know, we're going to summarize this thing up. You know, that was our first episode about the state and the emergency of New York City basketball. If you have any comments, or if you want to reach out to, you know, further conversation.
Hit us up, man, on
because,
Instagram,
you know,
at KoolTV with a K. You see the shirts?
And, you know, it's just topics of many, you know what I mean? But, you know, I really want to make sure we come back to that topic again, you know, when we do a little bit more research and stuff.
Definitely.
Because me personally, New York City fell off when it comes to basketball, and when it comes to our swag, when it comes to our pride about our city, it just fell apart. Yeah. And hopefully, through the conversations that we have on KoolTV, we can at least try to help restore the feeling of when you come from New York, you feel bold and proud.
But I want to shout out Deron Rippey.
Okay, his son. Yeah.
Deron Rippey Jr. is straight out of Brooklyn, got a scholarship to Blair Academy. He's on varsity.
So hopefully
that's a national
these
program.
Young fellas take it to the next level.
Then you got to shout out to Cardinal Hayes. They got the top 5 player. He's a junior. This boy's all bad effort.
Never seen him.
What?
That's why I said I got to do some more research.
You got to do some research, man. New York City is in a good spot now. You got him. He's a junior. He played for Cardinal Hayes. I think he played small forward. Won a state championship last year, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But But this brother is a top 5, might have went up in the rankings after this summer, might be number 1 or number 3 right now from the Bronx.
You know, my son go to Cardinal Hayes.
Yeah,
too.
shout out to Nino.
Young Nino.
You know what I'm saying? So you got him. You got it's a lot of young brothers, man. It's and they in these different programs.
So what I'm gonna do
so stay
is
tuned. Do some more research,
do
bro.
some more research.
Because New York City, we got a lot of hoopers, man.
Me personally, I ain't seen nothing that I've been impressed with in a long time.
Okay.
And wait, shout out to the young boy that went to Hotspur. I got a chance to see him this year.
Oh, the kid, JC.
Yeah, I liked his game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He's the toughest nail. He reminded me of a New York City ball player. So
Salute,
you know what I mean. I just gotta get out there and see a little bit more. But in our era, we didn't have to get out there. It was ringing through the city.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. You knew, like when our balls was different. All the way down to Omar Cook from. Eric Barkley, man, I'm shouting out all PSL ball players from 80s, 90s.
Those Catholic League guys.
No, still they ballers.
No, I know what you mean.
We need to bring back housing. We need to have, those was the things that kept these guys, like, we need to bring it back. New York City. Yeah. What you think, Jenny? What you think, Regular Joe?
Regular Joe.
As you can see, Joe and Jenny, iJuice. So make sure you hashtag iJuice, tap in, because health is wealth. And as our co-host knows, no words or no words. God bless. Good night.
Hey, listen, man, this is KoolTV, man. I'm Kool. That's Diego. Listen, man, we just giving our opinions of our own experiences. That don't mean we right. That don't mean we wrong. You get what you can. Hit us up at KoolTV on Instagram. Love.